Tuning out of starlight, the innocent lifetime flickers and flashes under a canvas. No, nobody seems worth it, while the feeling's sophisticated. The view is so restrained. The past is nearing closer and closer, I fear. So let's just cut the bullshit and tell me who's independent. Thumbs twiddling and your life's escaping your mind. Keep in mind, well, the air ain't as free as it used to be, but that's quite alright when you're still 18, it seems to be. And I'll tell you who's overrated. What's a beautiful person with some hideous dreams? Well, the lining isn't silver. We're verging on the side of the road that'll take us home. The edge of us getting weighed. Read about your life in your local papers. Realize the end of us is getting near. You're just a droplet of paint trickled off your canvas. Delirious illusions flowing backwards through the river of color, while we analyze to try to see it clearer. Secretly appealing to a lonely prisoner. Now what's your vision? Initiate your shading, blend the universe together in time. It only gets a little easier. Suddenly piece yourself back together now. What's your vision?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to BlackOut Gaming TV as we continue our coverage of the 4th Highlander Nations Cup. And we've got another double header for you tonight, 2 games for you on CP Steel. We'll be beginning with a local rivalry, Russia versus Ukraine, followed up slightly later on by Norway versus Scotland, the game that was postponed from earlier in the week. I am Ceejaey. My co-caster with me tonight is Asaaj, with Arjax on camera and production. How are you doing tonight, Asaaj?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Glad
this is your first cast? Yeah, you excited?
Yeah, I'm a bit nervous, to be honest, because
it'll be fine. I'll hold your hand all the way through.
Oh, cheers, man.
Yeah, so we've got two teams here, which obviously regionally they're very similar, but they also share a lot of players on the same teams in Prem. I mean, we had 2 Russian teams in Prem. We called them Russian teams. They had Russian flags, Wasp and Unpoppable. But those of you might see players like Clef Sass and Nesh, who played for Wasp this season, who actually are representing Ukraine tonight. So a lot of friends playing across these 2 teams.
Mm. Exactly. Like, most of these players have actually played together in each team, like Unpoppable and Wasp. But now they have to like face each other off as two separate nations, Russia and Ukraine, and it's gonna be a really close game, I reckon. I'm not sure who's gonna win yet, but it's definitely gonna be a 2-1.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be a 2-1 also. The match is actually up on saloon.tf, guys, so I'm not sure if the bets have closed just yet. If they haven't, you can quickly snap in your bets for who's going to be the winner of this game. There's no spread betting, so whoever wins will net you your winnings. But there are also other games on Saloon.tf. I can't stress that enough. There are so many games going on in the Nations Cup. They're happening almost daily. We're trying our best to cover them on BlackOut Gaming TV. But you can bet on them. There is plenty of options there to eat some hats and eat some skins. I'll go over the rosters in a second, but I want to get your viewpoint on Steel, Asaaj, because we casted, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, and I was with Niyunan as we looked at England versus Wales. We talked a little about Steel. I mean, what's your thoughts on Steel? I mean, as a player, do you enjoy it, and as a spectator, like, how do you feel?
Steel is one of those maps where anything can happen. Honestly, the underdog might win just because they have the better strat on it. As a player, it's really stressful, to be honest, because calls are going to be all over the place since Steel is such a complex map and anyone can be anywhere. It's kind of hard to keep track of what's going on, and yeah. As a spectator, I mean, it's a nice match. It's going to be a really good match. We'll see what they'll pull out of the hats in terms of strats and DM.
Yeah, I mean, it's very kind of a tactical map where we do see upsets. I mean, Wasp did actually play this map during the Premiership season. They beat Stacked, which, Stacked didn't have the best of seasons in Season 8. They finished 6th in the end, but they do have a team that, Wasp were newcomers to the league. I think even Unpoppable managed to get some points on this map against another team, if I remember correctly. So yeah, these players, and all these players have been practicing by all accounts. I've watched scrims of these teams playing on this map. I've watched scrims of these teams beating some of the what you might call higher tier teams playing in the competition. I'm not going to name names, but they have been scrimming, they have been practicing. They are looking strong. It looks like we're starting to get players, or some players seem to be leaving now, maybe just finalizing rosters. I do believe we've got everyone from Ukraine, and you were telling me about the roster earlier, so do you want to just nip through on who's going to be playing what for Ukraine?
Okay, sure, I'll try my best. Okay, on Scout they have Abra. Abra is a really good scout, really capable in DM. He was in Kill Switch, if I remember correctly, when they win Prem. Then they have Lippy, a really good Sixer soldier, on Soldier. Foot Ration on Pyro. Death, who plays Demo Man for them. He also plays in Fair Enough, and if I remember correctly, for 25. He's also a really good Demo Man. You should definitely check him out. Then we have Gunrocks. And Gunrocks is on Heavy. Ihor is on Engineer. Klefsas, who's playing for Wasp, if I remember correctly, is playing Medic. And then you have Nash, a really good sniper, who has been around for quite a long time, and people seem to underestimate him a lot. He'll give a good show. And last but not least, I think it's Pinky. Pinky.ua is playing Spy for them. He's also been around for a long time. But yeah, that's Ukraine.
Yeah, Pinky's another Wasp player as well, so they're quite well represented there in the number 1 Russian team in Highlander. And yeah, I agree with what you said about Def there. He's going to be the player to watch for me. Abra's got a lot of experience in Highlander. He played for Kill Switch for a few seasons, did win Prem. Very, very capable scout. But Death, for me, was a player that kind of could have been named Demo of the Season purely because of the fact that he played in a team that finished in 4th. He wasn't in one of the top 3 teams, but still the stats that he was pumping out, damage-wise, kills-wise, just he was doing insane amounts of work. And, his 6's experience with 425, he's going to definitely be a player that can do a lot of work on Steel. Demo Man is strong. Looks like we've got everyone from Russia now. and there's a lot of familiar names. So we've got Scout, we've got Mr. Epic, played backup for Highlander last season. Shadowburn is going to be on Soldier, a name that many people will probably recognize. He was recently crowned Roamer of the season for the last 6v6 season, and I believe he was Soldier of the season last season in Highlander as well as picking up the triple award back in season 7. He is, I mean, a Highlander star. Really in Europe at the moment. Crow is going to be on Pyro. She plays for Wasp. Forsaken, normally playing on the Scout, but he's going to be playing Demo for Russia. A very, very capable Sixes player as well. He's going to be playing Scout for Reason at I-55, I've been told. Enia, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I think it's Enia, is playing Medic for Russia. Then we've got Catman is going to be playing Heavy. I believe those two play together for Unpoppable, so the combo there is going to have a bit of synergy. Trox is going to be on NG, normally played Soldier for Wasp, but he'll be on the NG tonight. Then we're going to have Costil on the Spy class, and Morg is going to be playing Sniper. And Morg is another player I think we're going to have to watch out for. The sniper battle, the sniper battle between him and Nesh is going to be pretty key, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's usually decides the outcome of a match. Not so much on Steel, though, but still, like, having a sniper versus a team that doesn't have a sniper, it's going to be much easier to push or defend, because this map has a lot of sniper sidelines that aren't immediately, like, visible to the normal eye. So, yeah, I guess that's one thing to watch out for.
Yeah, I mean, having sniper on this map, there's so many corners, there's so many kind of closed off areas. It's not open like you've got a viaduct or a gully wash, something like that. So really it's not renowned for the sniper class. And if High GPS was here, he'd be raving about how the Huntsman is very effective. But we have seen in some matches already in this cup and during the seasons that if a sniper can get in those sightlines, he can do so much work.
Yep.
There is Da and Devise going on in the chat, so I think we are going to get ready to go. We have got Pinky's asking for a few minutes, so I think Ukraine are just waiting to get themselves ready. Maybe some people are AFK, but we do have 9 on each. So you think it's going to be a 2-1? I'm going to press you, Asaaj. I'm going to press you. I'm going to say, who do you think is going to come out victorious? Is it going to be Russia or Ukraine?
Well, according to my insights infos, Ukraine has scrimmed a lot, and they've won a lot of scrims as well. So my bet's going to be Ukraine 2-1. Simply because of that inside info, but it can go either way.
I mean, if you are right, there's going to be a lot of happy people picking up their winnings from Saloon.tf, because I'm not sure exactly the odds were, but I think at some point Russia had about 60%, 70% favorability. So if Ukraine wins, and those who bet on Ukraine are going to be pick up a tidy, nice little reward there. Conversations are going on in the chat, and it's all in Russian, so I'm not exactly sure what the delay is. We seem to have all 18 players on the server. I mean, I'm gonna stick my head out and go against you and say Russia. I think that I think both teams are very strong. I think Ukraine are definitely one of those teams that could cause some upsets later in the competition. I said at the start of the competition, Russia were kind of like my outsiders. Last year I said Poland were one of the teams that could cause some upsets and do well, and they did pretty well. But I think this time around Russia they've got the squad. And while I may not agree with Forsaken on Demo, I think him on Scout is just insanely good. He has been pumping out the stats on Demo. So I think the Shadowbone factor is definitely going to come into it. I know he is extremely good on this map. I saw some crazy results from him playing Steel in sort of the Premiership qualifiers, the Premiership relegation playoff during the season. I think if Russia play around him, like Wasp do, Wasp and Unpoppable have done during the season, I'm not sure if Ukraine are going to be able to resist that.
Yeah, they'll have to keep Shadowburn busy, if not that. But looks like we're going live actually, so take it away, Ceejaey.
Oh yeah, we are. So we're going to see Ukraine actually going to be starting on the blue with Russia in the red. That means Ukraine attacking. They're going to be trying to set a time as quickly as possible with Russia defending. Then we'll swap around with Russia trying to beat that time. So for those of you who aren't totally familiar with Steel, it is a rather odd map compared to your regular 5CP and King of the Hill and Payload. There are 5 capture points in Steel. The main objective is to capture the E point. Once that E point is captured, the timer will end and the round will swap over to the other team trying to attack. But to capture the E point, it takes quite a long time, so you can capture the earlier points to speed up the cap. So you'll capture the A point, and once you've captured A, B becomes available. Once you've captured B, C comes available. So there's lots of different strats that can be pulled off here. We can see teams going from A straight to E, or B straight to E, or trying to capture every single point before finally going onto the E point. But we are seeing Russia with this kind of passive defense here. They've got Catman and Morg fairly aggressive on the B point. The sentry from Trucks quite far back. We do see two different sentry styles, but there isn't much resistance going on the A point. A point is pretty much just given up by the defending team. Only Kostil is here cloaked, trying to get some intel, Asaaj, on what Ukraine are going to be doing.
Exactly. And I suspect that once they capped A, Ukraine, that is, they will try to chance capping E, but as it looks right now, they have Shadowburn and Mr. Epic watching that entry to E from A. So it's not going to be easy. Maybe they'll try to like send some people on B like they're doing right now.
Yeah, they even have Forsaken, actually, the demo. He's actually close to the White Room watching this A area, which is going to leave B fairly exposed. They've got Morg, they've got the Entry, and they've got the Heavy, but the Uber is used by Ukraine very early on, straight onto Death. It's soloed onto him, and the Uber finally comes out from Russia as they push them back, but that Uber trade was really all that they wanted. The only player to go down in all of that was Dito the Pyro, but Russia, big headshot there from Morg just to slow it down, taking down the heli, and Ukraine aren't going to get, but the backstab comes in from Peaky, takes down Catman, and this is a little bit scrappy at the moment. All sorts going down, not really a solid push or anything going on, but Mr. Epic picks up 2 kills on the flank, takes down Lippy and Abra.
Yeah, at the moment they are trying to feel each other out on B. Ubers are relatively even, so it comes down to like the defense making a mistake to the point where they have to fall out. And right now Ukraine is pushing on B. Seems like Russia is trying to fall out, but they're contesting right now. So it's not going to be easy cap. There's ×2 on the point right now, combo on the point. The Heavy from Russia is in the window. The Uber is popped, but so far nothing much going down. I expect the counter Uber coming in, and yes it does. But so far no real casualties.
This is dangerous from Russia. They either need to stay in or get out. Gunrox is going to go down here from Catman. That Tomislav accuracy at slightly longer range helps him there. But Forsaken might get caught out here. Death is being really aggressive. It's a 1v1 between the two demos. But finally Death decides against it, and Forsaken is going to get healed up there. Lippy gets headshot from Morg as Russia decided to try and stay in here with their combo, and Trox has actually built a sentry. He's building it quite far back, but they're giving Death so much space. He's going to get spammed onto that sentry. He's going to go straight down. This is a little bit of a mistake here from Russia as Nesh is given the space to try and get a headshot. He does get a headshot. That's to his own face though, as Morg does counter snipe him down. But it looks like Ukraine might get this point now, Asaaj. I'm really not sure what's going on, but Russia is somehow holding this.
Oh yeah, the determination by Russia is really something to commend, because most of the teams would just fall out after this Uber exchange, but in the end Russia kind of got caught out because they stayed in for too long. I'm actually looking at the E point right now, but there's not much going on. You still have Mr. Epic patrolling the AE connector with the base set up on A. They kind of have to get going soon because they're bleeding valuable time, and right now Russia are pushing in, I mean Ukraine, and see if they can cap this right now.
Yeah, the counter Uber comes in as it's used on Shadowburn, of course. He gets so much damage out onto everyone. He forces the Uber from Ukraine, but the only casualty has been Gunrox. And Russia, I think, at this point are going to be satisfied to have eked out as much time as possible. Might even catch out Catman here. He's in the drop down. Not a very good idea to stay in there when you're a Heavy. He's going to eat a sandwich and maybe try and get a little bit of a flank going on with the Tomislav.
Yeah, but he's definitely going to get called out. He can't switch spawn anymore, and yeah, he goes down now. Good pick by Abra. But they're still holding the connector, the BC connector, something that you would definitely want to hold if you want to slow the enemy team down. And it looks like they're still trying to contest B a bit, which is a good thing. You never want to give up a lot of ground on steal, because that results in a fast time, and that's not what the defenders want to play against, I suppose.
Yeah, 3 minutes 45 is quite a long time to be able to capture the first 2 points. But it does open some more doors for Ukraine now. They're going to try and focus onto the C point. Dito here, the Pyro, is in this BE connector. If he can catch off Forsaken off by gun, he's just once! He's straight onto the medic, and the medic goes down!
Great pick by that Toad.
He gets a 3k, takes down the Pyro, the Medic, and the Demo. 3 players gone down from Detoad. Amazing play there by the Ukrainian Pyro. And Ukraine used their Uber. It doesn't really achieve anything, but there's a free Uber essentially as the Medic earlier is not going to come up for a while. ×3 on the C point, and only 3 players left alive for Russia. And this is starting to look a little bit dangerous for them now. If they can roll this on, I mean, there is a sentry, a level 3 sentry on the E point from Russia. That's going to take time to shift, but once you've captured the first 3 points, Asaaj, it's kind of downhill from there.
Yeah, especially because once you cap C, the E point gets much easier accessible because the bridges start to extend to 1 point. So classes that wouldn't be able to cap from A, B can now cap. And it looks like D's already almost lost. That's bad because like the doors close down, so they actually have to take really long routes to cap E or defend E in that matter. Yeah,
I think this is looking bad now, but the Demo comes in. Forsaken gets some good stickies onto the point, forces the players off the point, and Mr. Epic meanwhile is going huge. He's doing so much work in the background. Shadowburn gets taken down by the sentry, but Abra is on the point there with Lippy. Trox is doing his best. He's onto minis now, which can actually now be fixed as he's fixing up that mini. It's going to watch that point. Morg takes down Nesh. Nesh is doing some work. He took down Trox earlier on, with Lippy finishing up the little sentry nest. But with Morg in that window protected by Trox, it's going to be dangerous for Ukraine to try and get onto that point.
Oh, the medic goes down to Kostil. Great pick by Kostil onto Klefsas. He went behind from A. Something that the Ukrainian team didn't check, so that gives them a good Uber advantage now.
Oh, but Ania goes down to death! The Stickies takes him down! That's the Russian medic down as well, and he's not going to be up for over 10 seconds now. Such a huge spawn time once you've lost this many points. And Ukraine are going to have an Uber advantage. They're already at 20%, another 5 seconds before Ania respawns. And Ukraine are trying to cap D point again, but Russia has started to get a little bit of a stranglehold onto E. They've got players in the positions. I think they're going to have to give up D and just hope this E hold can eke out a little bit more time. 6 minutes 44, Asaaj. That's a decent time. It's not slow, it's not fast, to capture those first 4 points.
Indeed, that's a time to work with. We'll just have to see how long they'll actually take to cap E, as the blue players are actually all over the AE connector, also pressuring them from the little connector, which is a good place to hold when you are defending, but it's like as soon as D is lost, you generally don't want to hold there because it's so easy to get called out. Meanwhile, we have like a lot of people on the BC connector, and I see a quick fix by Ania. Let's see what they'll do with it.
Yeah, Shadowburn fell into the pit there, pushed in by Detoad. Detoad is doing great work for Ukraine at the moment. And the problem is, Trox goes down as well to a body shot, and Ukraine have the players, but Russia has the Uber. If they can use this quick fix properly, and they do use it, but no, Catman goes down, and it's only Shadowburn. I say only Shadowburn. What can he do here? Takes down a few players, including Death. Gunrocks falls into the pit, and Shadowburn wants to take this white room.
Crow might get the medic.
Shadowburn takes down Abra and Nesh. He's not finished yet. He's moving on to the D point, which is where the other soldier is.
Yeah, Enya is kind of caught out in the BC connector, now connecting with his demo man Forsaken. And they still hold E by the skin of their teeth. At one point they only had like 3 people up, but Ukraine didn't manage to push out of that.
This is a good hold now. There's the conch coming out of Shadowburn, something he's so famous for. Sorry, Nesh is in the window, gets a headshot onto Catman. That's a big pick, but Death gets a couple of kills, including Morg and the medic. And then Detoad with the reflex takes down Forsaken. Kostil is behind the medic here. He has to go huge here. Oh, and he face stabs the Pyro. That's not going to get anything done.
And Kostil goes down to the pit.
Falls into the hole. This is looking really good for Ukraine right now. They have a quick fix, which you can actually use on the point and still cap and can't be pushed off. As Crow comes here, tries to use the, I think it's the flare gun, but no, just going to use that quick fix on the point. And
look at the medic right now with the shot though, but they have a lot of people up now in Russia. But the cap time is a bit too much. They like kinda have to walk into the point if they want to kill. Enir goes down to the Ukraine spy, and this is around 9-7 is a decent time. It's not as good, but it's still something you can work with, and time that you will usually see out of Steel. Let's see what Russia is gonna do. Maybe they'll try a E-cap. We'll see.
Yeah, if I remember from last season, during Season 8, Unpoppable and Wasp. I think Wasp pulled off some very successful AE caps. But I don't know, I mean, that's not really a time. You've got a lot of room there for maneuverability. You can kind of think, we can whiff a few pushes here and there and still be quite comfortable in trying to do it. I mean, Russia, when they kind of were playing to their full extent, they seemed quite comfortable with dealing with what Ukraine had to throw at them. It took a couple of big plays from Dito there to actually open up the way for them. Once they opened up, it sort of snowballed a little bit. But yeah, 9 minutes and 6 seconds is, yeah, it's a decent time. It's not a time you're going to facepalm at and think, oh god, we're not going to beat that. But it's not a time that you're thinking, oh, that's going to be easy. But now we're going to see Russia in the blue trying to set the time, trying to beat the time, sorry. 9 minutes just ticking over on the clock now, as Ukraine are going to try and hold as long as possible.
Yeah, they have a lot of people on A, while there's not many people actually trying to look out for what's on B. I don't know if that's a good idea, but they'll get A for free regardless, because usually not a lot of people actually block A. But we'll see what Russia is going to do afterwards.
I mean, would you block A? I mean, I've always said I like to have one person there, maybe the spy or the scout or something, but the risk is if you have your demo or someone there and, you know, he slows down the cap a little bit, but if you lose him, he's so bad for the B defense.
Well, it kind of depends, really. Like, you have to have a really good defense on A.
Oh, look at this! Sorry, look at this! Sorry to interrupt, but E-point! Shadowburn takes down Abra and Lippy, and the Uber is used already, and it's blocking that spawn, and the spy there, Pinky, tries to get some backstab on Uber's targets, but it's not going to work. And it looks like Russia are keen on locking down this door, but Nesh gets a headshot onto Catman. And no heavy now. Yeah, Nesh goes down to Mr. Epic, and Russia have total control of this E-point at the moment. Dito there is going to be absolutely key to try and push people into the pit. One person to fall into the pit is Abra, and this is all looking very dangerous at the moment for Ukraine, but if Russia don't start getting some kills and some cap time, it's not really going to have much effect.
Yeah, they definitely have to have someone like rotating from B to try to divert the attention, but the engineers are already there looking, so that might not work. We'll see what Russia is going to do. I mean, Ukraine. Oh, whatever.
Yeah, we got Trox up in the window there with Morg. He was trying to build a sentry. He's actually fallen back. Now it looks like we've got a pause.
Yeah, we have a pause.
Okay. Yeah, Trox built a teleporter, I think, somewhere. I'm going to try and find out where it is.
It's on A.
It's on A, okay. But Morg is up in this little window where you'd like to be as the defenders, really, watching this spawn door, so I think Nesh is his preferred target to kill. But that was very, very quick from Russia. I was gonna point out in the halftime sort of mid-round area that Shadowburn on the defense, when they were holding the B point, didn't really get many kills. It was Mr. Epic that was going huge, and he was winning 1-on-1s, 1-on-2s. He was doing a great job in defending that white room area. So he's obviously doing a lot of work for Russia. But Shadowburn there opened up with 2 kills, one onto Abra, one onto Lippy. And once those 2 players have gone down, the Scout and your Soldier, you're really struggling to defend that white room. And that just opened the door for Russia to just walk in from behind. But like you said earlier, you know, we need some pressure on the B point, otherwise you're just wasting time.
Yeah, I just like see a lot of teams where they'll chance the cap E so much that eventually they're not going to cap it and they bleed lots of valuable time. I mean, like, we are already like 2 minutes in the round, so it might be like 7 minutes left now. Like, eventually they'll have to realize that they have to cap B in order to like get a bit more ground and have a bit more ground to work with. I mean, after B you can still like chance the E cap, because then you can like hold the B C connector and have like the flank pressuring the point while the combo like pressures the BC connector. But we'll see what they are gonna do after the pause. I wonder how long that's gonna last though.
Yeah, hopefully not too long, and hopefully it's nothing major that's caused somebody to drop out mid-Uber or something. We do have a small unpause, and we are actually unpaused now. And the Uber comes down from Clefstar straight away. I was going to mention it had a 10% advantage, but the Uber comes back in there from Ernia now, and Russia are Ubered on the E point. But again, they haven't got very many players. Crow doing a big detonator jump, and she and Mr. Epic are now on the E point. Great reflex there coming out of the Pyro, and they have locked down this spawn area. Shadowburn's here now as well, and they've got ×3 on the point.
Yeah, the medic's kind of low though. He might want to get a sandwich, and the defending team kind of has to like maybe move out of their spawn and like go in the BC connector to block it, because you can so easily get spawn camp from there, which the blue team is doing already. And there's a lot of time on the point now. They kind of have to like make a move now if they don't want to lose this round. Engineer's moving a sentry, but so far it's still looking like it's going to be a round, and yeah, that's a round.
That was insanely fast. And like we said earlier, that's what Steel's all about. You can do what Ukraine did and just went A, B, C, D, E, or you can just do what Russia did, go for A and then just go running around, capture E. And that was just, I don't know, executed to perfection, I think. I mean, you can't really fault them. It looks like we've readied up straight away. I'm just going to see if I can quickly find the log or something like that, but it looks like we've readied up straight away, and we're waiting for a team swap, I believe. Or have we got another pause?
Yeah, looks like it. It has paused in the chat now, but I suppose that's a pause for the first one.
So I'm just looking at the logs now, and that time, that cap time, I think was around 2 or 3 minutes for Russia to capture that point. I can't get the exact time. It's very good. And looking at the logs, top killer there, top fragger was Shadowburn with 20, followed in by Morg with 16. And like I said earlier, Mr. Epic was doing some work. He came in third place with 15 frags. The top three there doing very well, all from Russia. In fourth place was actually Detoed, which we did see some great work from him.
Yeah, most definitely.
So definitely players standing out for at the moment. And then Nesh and Death, two big players for Ukraine, coming in with 12 and 11 frags as well. Death actually top damage that game, hitting 550 damage per minute.
Holy
but
crap.
Yeah, that was, yeah. So I mean, that was Ukraine. We thought that was a decent push from them. It was kind of what you'd expect from Steel. You know, you capture A, and the more points you capture, it shuts spawn doors down for the enemy team, the defending team. It makes it harder for them to reach the points to defend them. It opens spawn doors for you. It gives you pretty much an instant respawn while giving the enemy team, the defending team, about 20-second respawn. So everything just looked in the favor of Ukraine there, with a decent time. But Russia just showing that obviously they've been practicing this map and they've got that AE push down very, very well.
Yeah, I suspect that they'll try to do the same, so Ukraine have to watch out for that. And also, I like to believe that they'll have to contest Shadowburn a bit more, because Shadowburn is like not one of your typical soldiers that usually wanders off by his own. He has like this playstyle where he also demands a lot of heals from the medic, but he usually does a lot with them. And because he's using the Conjurer and Black Box on this map, which tends to be kind of choke point voicey, it's easy splash damage and easy HP back. So if you can't kill him, at least try to keep him busy, so you'll have a bit more breathing room.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like we have come from the unpause now. It's a conversation I was having with a friend the other day about Shadowburn, and I was saying, you know, we're looking at the teams that are, you know, expected to do well in the competition, and USA is obviously one of them. And I just thought, how, if they come up against Russia, are they going to deal with Shadowburn? I mean, it's probably not a playstyle they've actually come across before. There is no sort of North American UGC teams that I've ever seen where they play around the soldier as much as, you know, Russia do, or Unpoppable or Wasp have done in the past when Shadowburn's played for them. I mean, in Europe, people know what Russia are going to do. They know how they're going to play. They know that, you know, Shadowburn's going to take a lot of heals, like you said, and he has this kind of almost pocketing style, and then he'll wander off when he feels like it. And I just thought that would be interesting to see if USA ever came up against Russia, whether they'd have to come up with some different tactics to deal with that. I'm not sure if this quick unpause was to allow players in or not, but we should be seeing Russia attacking first now, setting the time, and then we'll swap around with Ukraine trying to beat that time.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, like, it's very difficult to do it and deal with a soldier that plays like that, because he's most likely going to have a lot of HP. But seeing now we are actually
Mission begins in 60 seconds.
to take it away.
Mission begins in 30 seconds.
But I'll talk anyway. I'll wait for some confirmation from somebody to see if they can hear me or not.
Mission begins in 10 seconds.
If you want, you can take it away. Russia is setting a time now.
5, 4, 3,
Russia saying, I believe, or yeah, my HUD has not updated with colours. But yes, we've got Russia in the blue. They will be setting at the time now, trying to set as fast a time as they can, with Ukraine on the defense, trying to defend for as long as possible. And yeah, Russia will set the time, and Ukraine will try and beat that time. I'm not sure if we're having issues with players lagging out or something like that, but it looks like we are live.
the control point.
People are saying
Indeed we
restart.
are.
I think we're having a restart here. I'm not sure whether I think someone timed out on the Ukraine team. I think Death is having issues. So we've had a execute of the config, and I think we're just going to wait. And there we are. So
Yep.
now now we're back, and yes, in the blue, and they will be attacking, trying to capture the 5 points as quickly as possible, or at least the E point, like we saw them do in the first round. They just went from A straight to E. And on the defense is going to be Ukraine. They will be holding for as long as possible, and then we'll try to beat Russia's time. And again, we're seeing this kind of sentry position quite far back from Ukraine. I mean, I'm not going to call you an NG main, Asaaj, because you convinced me that you're not an NG main anymore. But having played engineer at a very high level, what do you see? What do you make of these sentry positions? I mean, we've seen the same for both teams. Whereas in the past, from like England, we have seen. We've got another pause now. In the past, we've seen people like Ceejaey Rendezvous. He was, of course, NG of the season in Prem for season 8. But he had a more aggressive sentry for England. I mean, which would you prefer and why?
Well, that's a tough question, actually. Like, the sentry spots that they've been using so far, they work. But then again, they're a bit too far back, too far back to actually influence the outcome of a push. And the aggressive sentry works when you have enough people like covering it and you are aware that the spy is around and stuff like that. Make sure that the gun is up so it delays even more. So I'd actually prefer if the sentry was a bit more forward, like you said Ceejaey was doing in his other match, instead of having it like on this ledge, because yeah, it's a bit too far back to actually do anything. And it's easily spammable too from the balcony, so I don't know. It's not going to be a factor though if the push is going to be successful or not. It's just there to delay, but we'll see.
The sentry position had no effect against Russia because Russia didn't push B at all. They just went straight for the E point, and we saw Ihor move his sentry around onto the E point, maybe slightly later than that was needed. But it's really hard as an engineer because once you've taken your sentry away from that B point, it's so hard to set it up again onto the B point and say, right, I'm going to defend here. So it looks like we've unpaused now. But yeah, here we go. We are going to see second round finally going up with Russia 1-0 up at the moment against Ukraine. Russia are going to be the attacking team, with Ukraine defending for as long as possible.
Indeed. Anyway, okay, so yeah, Russia's pushing right now. I can't see the time right now, so I don't know if it's still set up time or if they're actually going. But
And they can use Uber in the spawn, so I think we might need to restart again. Bear with us, guys.
Everyone put LOL Highlander in the chat.
Yes, lol, hate. I'm not sure. We have done another restart of the config. We are ready. People are building sentries on the defense. Ihor has got his level 1 building up to his level 3 on B point, far back like we were discussing about before. And like I've said about 27 times, Russia are going to be in the blue. They will be attacking, trying to capture the E point as quickly as possible. Whether they go directly for E or they capture some of the other points along the way, it doesn't really matter, as long as that E point gets capped. And once that has happened, or Ukraine have stopped them from doing so, we will see the sides swap around with Ukraine trying to beat the time.
We got Nash on defense, like having a really far forward position. Let's see if he's gonna get a pick from the people pushing B. Both teams running Uber, so there's nothing like unusual here. And yeah, Sentry's still on the same spot.
Would you expect crits maybe on a map like this if you wanted to cause an upset?
It can work. Like Crits Creek is good when the other team doesn't expect it, and this, as I mentioned before, this map tends to be kind of choke pointy, so a crits sticky can do a lot of damage, getting a lot of kills. But I mean, it's like a gamble. You're probably better off like sticking to what you know. And looks like we have like 2 people joining the Russian team now. One of them is Arjax, and the other one is Kostil.
Get back in the game for some reason. Maybe he's having issues, so I would expect Arjax is going to come in and play NG for Russia instead, because we are going to see another restart, as that was people obviously having issues. You don't really want to start a game as important as this with players missing.
Yeah, Forsaken looks like he has some kind of ping trouble. I saw him lag around quite a bit.
In the meantime, we can maybe talk about the prognosis maybe for these teams, your ideas. I mean, do you think either of these teams have a chance at winning the competition? I mean, looking at the strength of their squads, I mean, they probably would both expect to try and get out of the groups into the knockout stages, but how far realistically do you think these guys can go?
That's a good question, actually. I mean, they're obviously gonna go out of the group. I'd say, I don't know, maybe top 8, semifinals at most. Like Russia, because like right now they're really impressing me. But for Ukraine, I think top 8. But you can't really judge from one match, and this is like a really peculiar map anyway. Like, it could be different on other maps, so we'll see what the knockout stages bring on the table in terms of maps.
Like, a map like Steel really shows the teamwork of a team like this, and I think these guys have got an advantage to begin with because so many of them play on the same team. I mean, I know there's a lot of countries that are operating around the same sort of style. We've seen, the United States are essentially the kids next door team from UTC Platinum, and there are other countries that have lots of players from the same team who obviously got very good cohesion together, lots of chemistry that helps them be successful. But it's quite hard to it's hard to put across how much these guys have played with each other. I mean, the Wasp team have been around since the beginning of ETF2L Highlander. They've played in every single division that ETF2L has had to offer, ranging from Div 6 all the way up until Prem. They've played in multiple seasons of UGC Platinum. They are in the upper bracket final of the current UGC Platinum season. They finished runners-up in that competition twice now. So these guys have been around, they've seen it, they've done it all, and on a map like this, the teamwork, it really is there. They know how to play maps like this, having done it for so many years. And I think if you throw in things like Forsaken and Shadowburn, who obviously got great DM skill, on maps like Viaduct where strategy and DM come into it, I think they're going to be a team that a lot of countries don't really want to have to face.
Most definitely. And yeah, like the Wasp team actually has been around since UGC Season 6, so they worked their way from the bottom to the top. They're obviously a really good team right now. Upset a lot of people in the Prem season we had last season, where I think they finished 6th. Is that correct? I guess so, I don't know. I'm just waiting for the match to go live.
Looking in chat at the moment, I think they might be looking for another server because so many players are having issues. I'm trying to find out what's going on, but with people being offline to avoid issues like this, it's quite hard to get any communication going with any of the teams. Especially when they're typing Russian into the game chat. It's hard to know what their aim is. But bear with us, guys. Just to recap, this is the doubleheader tonight. I'm Ceejaey, and with me is Asaaj. We are casting for you for a couple of hours tonight. We're beginning with this Russia versus Ukraine game, and Russia are currently 1-0 up after blitzing their attack round in only a couple of minutes, and we'll be seeing them attacking again with Ukraine defending. Obviously, if Russia win the next round, then that means they take it 2-0, full 6 points, and that'll be game over. Whereas if Ukraine manage to win this round, we'll be going to a deciding round.
Yeah,
And
I'd like to intersect you here a little bit, because I've just been informed by Arjax that they are definitely gonna switch server if possible. So we might want to switch server soon, get set up again, and hope that this goes on flawlessly.
The double header, of course, there is a second match. The second match tonight will be a match that was postponed from earlier in the week. It will be Norway versus Scotland, which, due to various other delays and default wins and such, will be the first match for both of the teams. Neither of the teams so far has actually played a match so far in this Nations Cup. Norway last year finished in 4th position. They lost to England in the semi-finals in what was a very close game, and they lost to Finland in the 3rd place playoff, meaning they finished 4th, which is highly respectable, as not many people really considered them as a contender, and they put up some very stellar performances. And facing them is Scotland, who have only ever made it out of the group stage on one occasion in the Nations Cup, and that was in 2012. So they'll be hoping that some of their Scottish Bravehearts can get to them and inspire them to getting out of a group that actually includes the United States as well. So that'll be a tough ask for both teams. But Norway almost didn't have a team. Not sure if you saw this, Asaaj, that they didn't actually originally have a team in the competition, and it was Ace at the last second who said, fine, I'll be the captain, I'll be the leader, let's sort out a team. So if they can get far in the competition, that'll be quite a nice story to come from them.
Yeah, I was genuinely surprised when before the actual cup went live, and he said most likely there was no Norway team that's going to be competing because lack of players. And I thought that was kind of sad, because last season I think they got 4th, if I'm not mistaken, which is a very good performance. Obviously, they edged out good teams like Germany convincingly, and only lost out by like a margin, if I remember correctly, on that 3rd place decider. But it looks like we're going to switch server. We'll try to get the info as soon as possible, so we get to actually finish to cast this game. So wait a bit, guys. We're gonna be there soon, I hope.
We've got our best minds on it, and Arjax, he's also on it. But I'm getting some info. If you want some inside scoop onto the other games, guys, we do have the Netherlands versus the Czech Republic also happening at the same time, as well as some of the other matches. And I have been told that the Netherlands have taken that first round against the Czech Republic. It is a match that you can bet on, or you should have bet on. Obviously, you can't bet in progress. But the Netherlands are 1-0 up so far against the Czech Republic on CP Steel. So for those of you who have bet on that game, we'll try and keep giving you updates on some of the other games going on. I know another game that is going on tonight later on is Austria versus Italy, which I think will be a very good game. So Austria took 2 points off of Finland in their upward game, and Italy winning against the Slovak Republic, taking the full 6 points. I think that group, to decide who will get out of it, will be quite close in the end.
Yeah, definitely. That's like one of those really close matches, apart from this match we are casting right now, and the one at 21, which not a lot of people would expect to be close, but judging from the performance of Austria so far, they're going to have a good shot at Italy, and they might edge out a win.
Wins these games could, it may decide some of the groups, in this week. Or at least in the 3rd round. That's obviously the decider, where people start playing their final games, and it will put people under a lot more pressure if you know you have to win. Whereas if you come in the game knowing you only need to tie or get a golden cap loss, something like that, it's going to put you in a much better position.
Yes.
We have got to connect now, so we're trying to reconnect to a new server. Hopefully we're not having any more problems on Badwater, but I'm sure that will be fixed up for us soon enough.
Okay, make sure that we are going offline on Steam so we have a good chance of preventing these DDoSes. I'm gonna try to connect to the server as soon as possible and hope that this is gonna be a flawless run.
We can but hope. Point. I just didn't hear what you said for a couple of minutes. I think I was as well.
Yeah. No, I went offline on Steam, but apparently that doesn't help when the number gets DDoS. Are we alive again?
I'm not sure if people can hear our voices or not.
Yeah, they can. I'm watching this.
Okay, so yeah, here we are. We are waiting on a server. I'm not sure if I'm on the right server anymore, so we'll find out as soon as we can. Apologies for all the technical difficulties, guys. It's part and parcel of this tournament so far, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a shame they have to do something like this big, because like Nation Cup is only once a year, and now like as of lately it's only like twice a year because they are trying to rotate the Highlander and the Sixes once a year. So next year there's going to be Sixes, and having that DDoS obviously isn't fun for the casters or the players nor the people that would like to watch the game, because it can influence the match to the point where it either gets nullified or like teams that, I'm not calling out any teams, but teams that shouldn't win just because they are like not on the shorthand of the DDoS. So I don't know, man, it's kind of lame.
Yeah, it also gives us problems when we're actually trying to cast, because now apparently everybody is offline, so we can't get the STV because there's no one to contact, and they are apparently live at the moment, doing the best that we can. But forcing us into this just means that we can't actually bring you the coverage, because people are taking precautions to stop that.
Yeah, let's hope they don't advance too far into the match, so we actually get to see a good portion of it. And I think Russia is leading 1-0, is that correct?
Yeah, Russia have got the first round so far in this map. So if they win the second round, they will take the full amount of points. I can give you an update from elsewhere. The Netherlands did win the second round against the Czech Republic, meaning the Netherlands have bounced back from their defeat against Sweden in their first round match by taking the full 6 points here in their second game. So the Czech Republic, I think, they did win a golden cap on Upward against Israel, so they are sitting at 4 points. But Netherlands now on 6, with Sweden on 12. Sweden have to play the Czech Republic in their final game, so Netherlands have probably got an easier ride, and thanks to that, as long as they can get a better result than the Czech Republic in their final game against Israel, they should be through to the next round.
Definitely. It looks kind of tough now for Czech Republic, but I mean they can still edge it out. I'm just not sure, like, who is in that group? Isn't it like Sweden, Netherlands, and Israel alongside Czech Republic? So
that's right, yeah.
It's a tough task for them, but anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a lot of groups like that, and I think the Austria, Italy, Finland, Slovak Republic group is very much like that. Italy won 6 points off of the Slovak Republic in the first game, but Finland only won 4-2 against Austria. So if Austria can get some points against Italy, that puts them in a very, very good position for the final round of games, while Finland against Italy will be, I don't know, I think that may decide who goes through and who misses out in the group.
Once again, I'd like to apologize for all the downtime, but it's not in our hands at the moment if we actually get to see the match or not. It's a shame. I'm eagerly trying to get a connect right now, but so far there's like no one that could give me one.
I think I've got one. I do actually have a connect.
Alright.
I'll try and post it to you in the mumble. So looking at the moment, we are seeing, sorry, this will be a radio cast for now, and we're seeing pretty much exact scenes. This could just be a replay of the first round of Russia have done exactly the same on their attacking round this time. They have captured the A point, and they have now got plenty of their bodies on the E point. Crow and Mr. Epic, the Pirate and the Scout, are capping the E point at the moment. Vedito does some sneaky pyro play, comes in behind Urfex, who's the replacement NG for Russia, and manages to take down the sentry as well as Morg. So some good play by the pyro there, but no, Russia have captured that first point in 1 minute and 39 seconds.
Wow,
that quite, yes, that is one of the fastest times I've ever seen on Steel. 1 minute and 39 seconds to capture the E point. I would not like to have to play against Russia on this map.
Yeah, that's even better than when we scrimmed Finland. They had like 1 minute and 53 seconds, which is also a really amazing time.
Yeah.
Looks like I have issues though getting into the SCV. Seems like the server is full for some reason, so I can't join you just yet, Ceejaey.
Oh, okay. I think Arjax may be in here, so at least we'll have some coverage, so you can try and keep trying. I'll try and give a bit of a radio solo cast going on right now. So just to clarify, guys, to update you with all of the interruptions, we are sorry for the technical difficulties. It is out of our hands, I'm afraid. Outside sources are causing us problems. But in the first round of this, Ukraine attacked first at a 9 minute and 6 second time. Russia captured the E point within 2 minutes, meaning they took the first round 1-0. And in this second round, we have seen Russia attack first, and they have captured in 1 minute and 39 seconds. We are now going to see Ukraine. Abra leading the charge at the moment, getting a couple of frags on Scout. But Ukraine will be trying to capture that time. They've got 1 minute and 10 seconds left on the clock already. They just captured the A point. And there are so many players, it's Shadowburn. He is trying to block that A connector using the assistance from Forsaken the demo, and they're doing a pretty good job of it. And the Uber comes up really early, it's used onto D-Toad, and he gets flanked there. Morg gets a crazy headshot onto Abra. I don't know how he managed to flick that, but Shadowburn, Catman, they are down, and then Forsaken also goes down. There's a lot of frags coming in here from Ukraine, and the only saving grace at the moment is the fact that there is a sentry on E being protected by Crow, master of the reflex, but that does go down to a shot there from Nesh. Ukraine have got players, but they've not got the bodies on the point, and Russia have an Uber. I think this is out of their hands now. 25 seconds left on the clock, and they do have ×3 on the E point, but that Uber comes out. He's used onto Shadowburn. He manages to launch across the map, tries to get the air shot, misses it, but I think that is pretty much GG with 10 seconds left on the clock. There is no way that Ukraine are able to capture that E point now. Getting some kills here, but that is it. People are saying GG, and the Ukrainians are already leaving the server. That means it is a 2-0 win to Russia on CP Steel. The full 6 points go to them. That's not what we expected. I mean, I said a win for Russia. Asaaj, you said a win for Ukraine, but we both agreed it was going to be a 2-1 either way. We thought it was going to be close.
Yeah, I might have to actually eat my hat now with my prediction. But yeah, that's like also something that could happen if you don't stop the E capture times like that. Like like obviously not a time like that, like 1 minute 39. It's like probably the fastest I've ever seen anyone capture steal. But yeah, the threat of getting E is always there, and if you choose to ignore it, times like that will result, and that's what's like netted Russia the win and Ukraine the loss, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, Ukraine adapted slightly better than they did in the first round. You know, the sentry there from Ihor did get pulled back onto the E point pretty much straight away. But from what I saw, Russia just seemed to know everything that could be thrown at them and dealt with it. You know, it was just like, okay, so they're doing this time. They're going to pull off this strat this time. Let's just do this instead. And, you know, with the players that they've got, they just executed it perfection. And I agree. I mean, I don't know of a faster steal time. I've never seen a time that was faster than that on steel. I don't know what physically the fastest time is. I'm sure someone's done the math and jumped onto the server and tried it. But 1 minute 39, I don't know how much faster you can go.
Yeah, I don't think there's much room for improvement. Maybe like 130, but that's like as far as it goes. But that's like amazing to pull that off in a competition like this, where there's obviously a lot of high skilled people on both teams, and Russia just like making Ukraine look like fools. That's nothing that you would like to see when you were playing. It's like, I don't know, like a middle finger to your team efforts, to be honest. But there's nothing you can do about that. Sometimes it just happens.
Yeah, sometimes you just come up against, you know, slightly better players with better organization, and you know, I think even the best teams, you know, in this competition that are being judged at the moment would have struggled to do something about that. Looking at the logs, there's not really much that can be said. You know, the match lasted for 5 minutes on the logs, but just looking at it, Morg top fragged there with 5 kills, Shadowburn and Forsaken coming in with 4 each, with Catman on 3. Onto the Ukrainians, we've got a few of them, Death, Detoed, Lippy and Nesh, all picking up 3 kills. But realistically, the round was just not on, didn't last long enough to, it wasn't about the deathmatch, it wasn't about the frags, it wasn't about, you know, winning the 1v1s or anything like that. It was just the Russians were in the right place, they had their positioning right, they had their tactics right, and they just dealt with it in the right way. And I have to say that goes down as a masterclass. Fortunately, we didn't see all of it, but that has to go down as a masterclass of CP Still in my book. I would not be surprised if they do get to the final that they may be picking this map as one of the maps that they want to play.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the maps you'll have to watch out for when you play Russia. Because, yeah, as you said, this can barely get topped, and they did all the right things when they were capping. I suppose, like, I couldn't see it, but with that time, they were sure to win. And I don't know, what did Ukraine actually do fundamentally wrong to make it this fast?
I think it's just a deal with, you know, on payload, you know, if you start losing points quickly, you're not getting out of the points quick enough, you're losing key players. On this, they're setting up like any other team would. You know, you don't really defend the A point. You have your soldier, you have your scout, maybe your pyro watching behind in the white room to prevent sort of a push from there. But when the rotation comes, the rotation's not quick enough. Perhaps knowing that you're going to have players like Mr. Epic and Shadowburn pushing in from the flank, if you feel your flank's going to be outmatched, if you feel you need a bit of extra support, then you send a couple of players that way. It's what Russia did in that last round. They knew that Ukraine had to go for the E point straight away, so they moved Forsaken over. He watched the white room as well, and it just made it impossible for Ukraine to get through without using the Uber really early and just physically pushing people back. In the first round, definitely the rotation from Ihor wasn't quick enough, but you can't really blame him on that. You need your team to be able to say, okay, we need to give up B, we need to capture, we need to defend E. But yeah, it's just, if you're being outmatched on the flank, maybe they should have realized that and put a couple of extra players to prevent, you know, Shadowburn and Mr. Epic getting the opening frags. But realistically, I'm not sure. It's just the rotation and the positioning needs to be better. They need to get the right players in the right places. But other than that, I think it was just the quality of the Russian push that made the difference here. But we are just... Sorry, go for it.
No, what do you reckon? Maybe if like the Ukrainian team has like more people on the AE side, maybe even the combo, do you think that would have delayed them a bit more? Like I obviously couldn't see it. Maybe you also didn't see it, but if
I think definitely. I mean, the only players I can think of is maybe moving across your Pyro. Maybe if D-Toad had moved over to the White Room to help, maybe using the reflex on Shadowbone's rockets would have at least slowed him down. Maybe even move across Death. Maybe even put your demo on there. It's what Russia did when they defended. It's like they defend the B point expecting to be captured from behind. That's why they play with Forsaken playing in the White Room, and the only player really defending the B point was the Engineer, Trox and Earthex, and Catman the Heavy. And maybe that was enough. Maybe as long as you get your calls in early enough, know when to rotate, they're pushing in from B, then Forsaken came around and Crow came around and they dealt with it that way. But I don't know, it's just really interesting way of playing that they'd be so ballsy 2 times in a row. It's not like they needed to be quick. That's the way that they've played it. But we'll move on from this game now. Not much to discuss about those logs. Like I said, only a few kills coming in from each team. But that was the culmination of our first game between Russia and Ukraine. Russia taking the full 6 points in that game, meaning I think they're going to be top of the table and looking good to qualify for the next round, as I think Ukraine may have been the most difficult team to play in their group. We do have a double header tonight, though. That was the first part. The second part, continuing with me, Asaaj and Arjax, we will be taking our eye over Norway versus Scotland. Now, we do have some time before the game. I'm not sure if we're going to take a break or not. But looking at that game initially, I mean, I've heard lots of different things. I've heard people say Norway are going to roll. I've also heard people say Scotland are going to roll. And I think if we're having both people say that, it's going to come up from an interesting match. But I'll get your opinion later on, Asaaj. I think we are going to have a quick break. So Arjax is going to put on some music or something like that. And me and Asaaj are going to go get a drink, maybe have a little bit of a chill out. And we'll be bringing you Norway versus Scotland very, very soon.
all right, sounds fine to me.